And here's big breaking news that's coming in. As the Enforcement Directorate questioned Rahul on the financial transactions between AGL, between Associated Journals Limited and Young Indian Private Limited, sources have told us here in India today that Rahul Gandhi passed the buck. He told the ED that Motilal Vora was the authorized signatory for all the financial transactions between AGL and Young Indian. It's not just Rahul, but this seems to be the Congress's line of defense. Pawan Bansal, Mallikarjun Kharge, in their statements had also told the ED that the decision of the deal wasn't taken by one single person, but that Motilal Vora was essentially responsible for all financial transactions. Let me just highlight here that Motilal Vora had a 12% stake in Young Indian. Rahul Gandhi has a 38% stake, so more than Motilal Vora. So does Sonia Gandhi. She has a 38% stake as well. But it looks like the line of defense right now is for Rahul Gandhi, for Mallikarjun Kharge, Pawan Bansal and the entire Congress leadership, whoever's called by the ED, to pin the blame on Motilal Vora, saying he's the signatory, he was responsible for all financial transactions. Munish Pandey is joining us with more details on this. Munish, it's clear now that the Congress's line of defense is to pin the blame on Motilal Vora. They're saying that he's the one who authorized all financial transactions, someone who has a smaller stake in Young Indian than Rahul or Sonia Gandhi.
Yeah, well, Akshita, what we have been given to understand by our sources within the Enforcement Directorate is that when Rahul Gandhi was questioned about the 92 crore of loans given by AICC to AGL, the deal between AGL and Young Indian Private Limited, also why this money of rupees 50 lakh came from Kolkata-based shell company. Rahul Gandhi has told the ED officials that I was not the authorized signatory. Motilal Vora was the authorized signatory, and every deal between AICC, AGL or Young Indian Private Limited took place after Motilal Vora's decision, or it was the deal was struck after Motilal Vora signed those papers. He was the authorized signatory. Also, in regards to financial transactions between AGL and Young Indian Private Limited, again Rahul Gandhi said that he was the authorized signatory. I have no idea about it. Apart from Rahul Gandhi, Akshita, remember,
Munish, my apologies for interrupting. Just stay on with us. I'd like to get in a BJP reaction also on this. Shehzad Poonawalla is joining us on this broadcast. Shehzad, good morning. Sources telling us here on India Today that Rahul Gandhi, while being questioned by the Enforcement Directorate, said that all financial transactions between AGL and Young Indian, Motilal Vora was the authorized signatory.
While I can't be privy to what has happened between Rahul Gandhi and the ED, but based on the report that you are putting out, you know, this is typical behavior of anybody caught with his hand in the cookie jar. What does the criminal usually do? He usually says like Satyendra Jain, ki meri memory loss ho gayi hai. Yeah, he says like Rahul Gandhi, ki I didn't do it, somebody else did it. So this typical shifting of the onus is a typical behavior of those who commit the money heist of 2,000 crores. And therefore, this is the reason why Surjewala and company don't answer specific questions that we've been asking them from day one. And those specific questions are that is it not true that the trial court and the High Court have held that Young Indians was a special purpose vehicle used to take away the entire property of 2,000 crore of freedom fighters and give it for parivarik gain? Now somebody who has 12% shares in Young Indians was controlling Young Indians, but those who have 76% share was not controlling Young Indians. Can that be believed? I think everybody is smart enough to believe that who was actually controlling the entire operation, in whose benefit this entire operation was being done. The income tax order also came out about how 100 crore rupees was evaded in tax by taking the wealth and the money of these properties. The High Court and Supreme Court gave no relief to the Congress party. The Congress party hasn't been able to explain why the loan was waived off in favor of Young Indians. They haven't been able to explain what the India Today channel is showing about the links to the Dotex company. They haven't been able to show what Young Indian was doing as a charitable group till 2016, why they didn't start the paper till 2016, why the shares were transferred from AGL to Young Indian. They could have waived off the loan for AGL itself. These are specific questions we are asking them. No answers are coming except they play the victimhood card, the vendetta card. Rahul Gandhi writes one answer, then erases it, then writes it again, erases it. He's been doing that for some time as per news reports. Now he's blaming Motilal Vora. They might blame Oscar Fernandez. They might blame everybody except for themselves.
Shehzad, Motilal Vora was a 12% shareholder in Young Indian. Rahul Gandhi has a 38% stake. Sonia Gandhi has a 38% stake. We already know at this point, and this is the information we have here on India Today, there is not just Rahul Gandhi. Earlier, when Mallikarjun Kharge was summoned, when Pawan Bansal was summoned by the Enforcement Directorate, they in fact put up a similar line of defense, pinning the blame on Motilal Vora.
See, it seems that all of them have found that blessed soul Motilal Vora should be the scapegoat for all the wrongdoings of the first family of corruption. Now, Congress party president was Sonia Gandhi. The Young Indians' major stakeholder was Sonia Gandhi. The loan that was waived off of 90 crore rupees from the Congress party's end, how could it have been done without the president's assent? Are you saying that only the treasurer took the decision of that? So, these questions are very clear that Young Indians was given a huge benefit by Congress party by waiving off the 90 crore loans just for 50 lakh rupees and then taking over 2,000 crore property. And this can't be done by one shareholder of 12%. It has to be done by those who control 76% of the shares. And the fundamental questions which we are asking, that a court of law has found all this to be true. It has not been contradicted by any court of law. But you have Chidambaram ji, Surjewala ji, they are all resorting to violence while Rahul Gandhi maintains silence and shifts the onus on somebody else. This violence on the streets is a representative of the fact that they want to divert the investigation at the ED and they want to divert the narrative on the streets, and therefore you see silence in ED and violence on streets.
Okay, Shehzad, thank you for joining us with your view on this big news break here on India Today. Sources telling us that Rahul Gandhi, during the questioning by the Enforcement Directorate, directly named Motilal Vora, said he was responsible for all financial transactions, was the authorized signatory for transactions between AJL and Young Indian.